The footage that you're watching in the background is of the Brighton, New York Police Chief Dave Catholdi and a press conference they held today announcing the arrest of 24-year-old Angelina Griffin, who basically ran down and hit a man in Brighton, New York. Those that are familiar with Brighton, New York, or may not be, it's a suburb of Rochester, New York. It's a neighboring town, basically, of Rochester, New York. And this happened at the intersection of Highland Avenue and Council Rock Road. And basically what happened, according to police, is that this woman, Griffin, who believe she lived in the Bronx, New York. She was on parole from the Bronx, New York, and she served time. She literally just got paroled last year. And according to Police Chief Catholdi, Griffin was robbed by Omar Coker in his early to mid 30s, and basically, as retaliation, she jumps in her Mercedes Benz, and as he's running down the street on the shoulder of the road there on Highland Avenue, right near the intersection of Council Rock, right at the corner pretty much, basically she runs him down and leaves him dead right there and leaves. The thing about the reason I'm making this video is, as many of you have noticed, I haven't been making too many videos. I've been putting videos out, but as far as going the extra distance of actually putting time into the videos that I've been putting out, I haven't really been doing that. I've put out a few here and there, but for the most part, it's no secret I've been taking a break from social media, from YouTube, just pretty disillusioned. Some of you know why, and know my feelings on certain things, that I just can't stand a lot of the hypocrisy, a lot of the double standards, especially when it revolves around certain so-called movements. We won't get into that right now. I'll save that for another video. But basically, long story short, I haven't really been putting out too many videos. But this is a video that I absolutely wanted to put out, and here's why. As quick as I am to call out police misconduct and corruption and just bad cops, I'm also just as quick to give credit where credit is due. And credit is definitely due here to the Brighton, New York Police Department. Look, I live in Brighton, New York. I have lived in Brighton, New York for quite some time. I've raised children in Brighton, New York. Got two boys that went to the Brighton, New York school district. Graduated from the Brighton, New York school district. And it's a great town. It really is. And it just, you know what I mean? When you see stuff like this, and this is why I've been blacklisted and blackballed by these so-called movements and these so-called activists, because I just don't, fall for a lot of the BS, like the defund the police and this and that. Look, I've always said we need police. We just need good police. We need good policing. We need trained, really professionally trained individuals to be police officers. We need better screening, better psych evals. There's some police officers who, we all know, it's no secret, should not be cops. But the thing about when you get into this defund the police and this and that, there is evil out on these streets. For a woman to jump on her car, whether or not she was robbed or whatever happened, and run down another human being and leave this person on the street in the cold snow to die, and then just drive off without a care in the world, it is just disgusting. And it shows you the dark side of humanity. So my point with making this video is that credit is due to the Brighton, New York Police Department. Less than 50 minutes I repeat, less than 50 minutes, less than an hour after this woman ran down this man, um, Brighton, New York police had located her Mercedes Benz. And then yesterday, she turned herself in to the Brighton, New York Police Department with her attorney. And, again, she's she's on parole from Bronx, New York, and for robbery, and served almost 4 years. And again, it's just disgusting that this woman could have just as easily killed a child. I think the police chief Catholdi mentioned that there's a school just 2 blocks down the street. Council Rock Elementary is the name of the school, for those of you who are from the Rochester, New York, or especially Brighton, New York. So it's just disgusting. And again, we just, I believe we all need to praise good police work and commend good police work when we see it, just as quick as we should denounce bad cops when we see the injustices they commit, which we're very familiar with. But in this case, it's all about commending the Brighton, New York Police Department, Chief Dave Catholdi. And I want to shout out very good man, man who has always treated me with respect, and that is Brighton, New York Police Captain Mike DeSain. And I've known him for many, many years. And just like Officer Skidmore, Mark Skidmore, just there's quality people at the Brighton, New York Police Department, quality police officers. And again, shout out to them for their quick work to locate a vehicle involved in a fatal hit and run within an hour. In one of my videos, that I wasn't just trying to be funny or whatever, and one of my videos is titled, Brighton, New York Police Department locates vehicle in fatal hit and run in less time than it takes to get a pizza delivered. And think about it. It is almost unheard of to locate a vehicle within that short period of time that was involved in a hit and run. And yet that is exactly what the Brighton, New York Police Department did. So let's roll a little bit of this footage and from the press conference, and stay tuned for more videos and more updates on this.
Reassure the community by stating this was not a traffic safety issue, but rather an intentional act by an individual perpetrator. The operator of the car, whom we arrested, sped down Highland Avenue in a westerly direction at about 60 miles an hour and intentionally struck the victim. The person who was struck and killed has been positively identified as Omar Coker. He was 34 years of age, and his last known address was at 1477 East Main Street in the city of Rochester. Yesterday afternoon, we arrested Angela D. Griffin, age 24 years old. Her last known address was 478 Maplewood Avenue in the city of Rochester. She was charged with murder in the second degree, a Class A1 felony. She surrendered here at the police department shortly after 5 p.m. Ms. Griffin was arraigned by Brighton Town Justice Karen Morris and remanded to the Monroe County Jail without bail due to her being a 3-time convicted felon. She's also been on parole for less than a year after a 2016 conviction for attempted robbery in the first degree out of Richmond County, New York. I'll turn it over to Captain Mike DeSain, who's in charge of our investigative division, who can provide more details into what we have.
Good morning. In case you don't know, this incident occurred on February 10th, approximately 2:47 p.m., the intersection of Highland Avenue and Council Rock Avenue in our town. We received multiple 911 calls for a pedestrian struck at that time. Upon our arrival, it was determined that our pedestrian was deceased at the scene, and we had basically a hit-and-run motor vehicle accident at that point. We had multiple witnesses providing us additional details that led us to a vehicle involved on East Main Street in the city of Rochester. That vehicle was found within 50 minutes of the actual accident, which occurred at Highland and Council Rock. That vehicle was found within 50 minutes, 50 minutes, 50 minutes, 50 minutes.